Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. It's something we do each and every Sunday here on SOT. And he's always busy on Sundays, too. And we brought him in here before he does anything else today. Mr. Scot Lade from the Prog Corner. What's happening, my man?
Hey, Pete Pardo, thanks for having me. My first visit on Sea of Tranquility in 2024, and it couldn't be for a better band, and a more auspicious occasion could not be had because Arabs in Aspic is a band that I've been listening to a whole bunch. And then the phone rings and Pete Pardo's like, "You want to rank them?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's do this. I'm excited." What a cool band. And as I was telling the folks before we went on, this is actually a band that's perfect for you and I to discuss because I'm feeling influences that are 100% Pete Pardo, right? You got the Deep Purple, you got the Uriah Heep, right? And then I'm hearing all the stuff that's totally in the prog camp. You hear the King Crimson and the Pink Floyds, but what an amazing band. And yeah, and the artwork too. Oh, I
Artwork
can't
is
wait to
good.
show off some of this vinyl. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and there's definitely like a theme across all of the album
Yeah.
covers, which I think is very important, and not enough bands do that. And I think we always appreciate when bands do. And another thing too, just because I think the last few shows we've done together, there's always seems to be this overarching theme of what's going on in Norway. Well, this is what's going on in
Yeah.
Norway. And in
It's
addition to all
insane.
those bands that Scott mentioned, Arabs and Aspic originally were a Black Sabbath tribute band, and there is this thunderous Black Sabbath doomy underpinning to everything they do, mixed with this classic rock and prog thing. It's a really good band, and if folks watching have never heard these guys before, you need to put them on your immediate radar. I think you'll get that impression as we go through the six albums. So it's kind of a confusing catalog because technically they have seven
Yeah.
albums, but they basically took one of their albums and they hated the way it originally came out, so they kind of redid it, added some different vocals, they rearranged the track list and whatnot. We'll talk a little bit about that. I think it was for the better, to be honest with you. I think that the final
Yeah.
of that album, when we get to it, was actually something that
But you brought up something interesting about, the band and what to recommend. Sometimes it is really hard to recommend a band to a newcomer because it comes with asterisks, right? And fine print. It's like, yeah, but you don't really want to go to that era, or oh, stay away from that record. Man, Arabs and Aspect, it's like just drop the needle anywhere on the discography. You're gonna find something awesome and really cool. And like you said, there's something going on in Norway. Obviously, I had to put the wall of Norway behind me. You got your Wobbler and your Magic Pie and your Caliganaut and your Chronicles of Father Robin and your Toosmorg, Ring Van Mobius and Seven Impale. It's just insane. Gazpacho, Airbag.
George
Uh,
Go, yeah.
and then you can go into heavier stuff with Leprous and Enslaved. Something's going on in Norway, and Arabs and Aspect needs to be given a little bit more love. So I'm really happy we're doing this episode.
And
Not enough people talk about this band. They're way cool. And yeah, they wear their
brand new
influences on their
Borkendar
sleeve,
too,
but
got to be
hey,
mentioned. Yep, it's
there
so
you go.
good, from a more the progressive metal and extreme metal side of things. But yeah, it's the Norway is where it's happening right now for
It
sure.
is. It's crazy. It's the number one scene in the world. And I'm just excited whenever any of those bands put a record out. So Arabs and Aspect actually are overdue for a new album. So
Yeah.
it's timely that I haven't heard anything about them recording anything. But so this is like a good little hiatus in their discography to kind of go back, do a retrospective. And yeah, this was actually way harder than I thought it was going to be. I went into this thinking I had the order in mind. I don't really need to think too much about it. And by the time I was done, it was pretty much flipped upside down and inside out. And so this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There's no weak albums here,
No,
and there is a central musical theme that permeates all of them, but none of them sound exactly the same,
right.
which I think is really
Yeah,
cool. And
that is cool.
my order could change anytime. Um, as we'll see when we get through here, because
So
I
like
think for me, I'm kind of splitting hairs on a lot of these. There's really
yeah, it is. It's real, especially my top four. My bottom two is pretty much I'm pretty sure about, but my top four, man, flip a coin. It's that close. It really is. So, like Pete was talking about, there are, you know, 7 albums technically on Prog Archives. They do that. Like if you look at Le Orme and Bonko and PFM when they were doing their English albums, they still call them a separate album. So yeah, there's those 6 proper albums, plus they had a real cool EP called Progeria, which preceded their first album. Really good stuff. But we're going to be ranking those 6 albums, right?
there we go. Yep, yep.
Okay.
So kick us off with your number 6.
Oh, are you ready? Well, I am ready, man. You know, this is the one that probably the only one that didn't move in my ranking as I was doing it. But oddly enough, in number 6, I've got the one that's rated the highest on Prog Archives. Isn't that just typical? You know, what is wrong with me? It's their debut album. And Far Out and Aradabia came out in 2004. But yeah, the artwork on these records is just so stellar. Uh, you know, we'll be talking more about the artwork as we go. But this one here, a little different lineup, right? You got a different dude that was in the band named Tommy Ingebrigtsen, who apparently was a real famous a ski jumper in Norway. I guess he was in the Olympics and whatnot. And now he's in a band called Arabs and Aspic. They changed their name at some point to Arabs and Aspic 2. I'm not really sure that whole thing, how that transpired. But so he's still in the band at this point, and they have a little more stoner approach, a little more doom-y, a little more jammy. In fact, side 2 is all one song, and it's basically one long jam in the key of G. It stays in that same groove for 18 minutes. It's cool, but you know, you could envision these guys as a jam band. You know, they could have gone that direction after this record. I like this record a lot, especially the shorter tracks on side 1. 72, Hair of the Sun. Talking Mushroom is cool, but yeah, I've got this at number 6, their debut.
I also have it at number 6.
Okay.
And I will reiterate, I like this album a lot.
Good.
Really good, but I don't think they've fully figured out what they're going to do yet. So
right.
Again, you know, you can hear on this one pretty clearly that they were a Sabbath tribute band prior to putting this band together. But like you mentioned, there's kind of like a stoner, heavy psych thing going on this album, which I like. It's a heavy album. There's a lot of really good Hammond organ on here. You got a song like Hair of the Sun, which is kind of doomy, but the prog stuff is starting to come out a little bit. Sisneg goes back and forth between doom and prog.
Yeah.
Nice guitar work on this album. Talking Mushroom, like you mentioned, that's got this psychedelic stoner thing going on big time. And I really like one of my favorites on here is Come to Me, which has this kind of early Pink Floyd, Nectar, Eloy thing going on, right? And I love the organ tones.
This was the only album with the aforementioned Tommy Ingebrigtsen, but also the keyboard player Magnar Krutvig. He was on this album, and they had a different bass player, the drummer's brother, Terj, because Eskil Nyhus has been on all these albums. On the first album, he had his brother playing bass. He does a nice job, but man, they did the lineup change after this album, and they found superstars at both the keyboard and the bass position. So, you know, a good first album, but they definitely would get better. And Julia Prozwowska Lund is the artist. She's done all 6 of their albums. And in case I forget to give her the shout out, man, wow, just an incredible artist. And we're going to look at 5 more masterpieces.
It's you know, it's not so for the you may not want your kids to look at some of these paintings. I almost that's pretty much what they look like. But they're gorgeously done. Cool. And I will say this album probably is the most different of all of them. And if you're someone who is a big fan of like heavy psych music, stoner, doom, space rock, this is probably the one for you. Yeah, look at that. It's very cool stuff.
It is awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned Butter Priest Jam. I mean, that's very different from anything else they've ever done. That's like if you like space rock and heavy psych music, that's the song for you. But yeah, number 6, but really, really good.
Yeah, good record.
Number 5.
Okay. At number 5, it may be a bit controversial, but we mentioned it right at the beginning. They had a record that they did all in Norwegian called the Sindenes Magi that came out in 2017. They weren't crazy about it. They thought they could do it better. They ink a deal with Charisma, and what better way to kind of bring all the back catalog onto Charisma than to redo it and call it the Magic of Sin with English vocals. It's an improvement, but I still think it's a misstep for them. But what's not a misstep is this artwork, man. Look at this thing. I got to go backwards to get it all in frame. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, just fabulous. And you got the shots of the boys in the band.
Look at that. That's cool.
It is a marvelous triple gatefold. It's 3 songs. So you think this would like hit the prog guy in me, right? Side 1 is 2 songs about 9-10 minutes long, and then you got, a side long epic type of deal. But the long song meanders. There's like 4 minutes of absolute nothing, just like space noises and stuff. And when it comes back, it's a tad bit anticlimactic. So I don't think they stuck the landing on the epic. The 2 shorter songs are nice, but it felt like it should have been an EP. So yeah, I've got the Magic of Sin at number 5.
Cool.
It does, however, introduce a 5th member to the band, though. This is Alessandro G. Alide on percussion. So this one is their 5th album overall. So this one and their latest one had this cat playing percussion. And you start understanding where the Aspic part of their name comes in a little bit better, because it certainly gives you a certain era King Crimson feel, thinking Jamie Muir all over Lark's Tongues and Aspic. This guy just going nuts on wood blocks and various percussion. Really cool, chaotic, but they'd figure out how to utilize him better on the next album.
Cool.
Magic of Sin.
My number 5.
Number 5.
From 2015, Victim of Your Father's Agony.
Okay.
Cool artwork here. Although probably my least favorite of all the artwork. It's got a different color palette, as most of them do.
Yeah.
It's very kind of bright and shiny and whatnot. But anyway, this is their 4th full length. Song like 1, which is killer. Big, hard charging piece. Vocal harmonies, heavy riffs, and use of Hammond organ remind me so much of early Uriah Heep, like without question. And I'm a huge Heep fan, so I love it. But there's also this kind of like, I think, and again, I don't know, I would love to ask them, but you have to wonder if they listen to a lot of Italian prog, because I get the little pastoral bits and the use of the mellotron is very, oh, by the way, folks, if you love mellotron, you come to the right place here. A lot of mellotron, but I hear little bits of Italian prog on some of this. And you got a song like Italian Class, which brings that right to the forefront, right? Really cool, quirky, a lot of cool synth lines, Hammond organ, bluesy guitar solos. Love it. God Requires Insanity is dark, heavy. This band is heavy. I love it.
It's dark and heavy, but you mentioned we mentioned a lot of aspects of their music. The one thing we haven't really mentioned are those gorgeous vocal harmonies.
Yeah, really
throughout all of their albums. I mean, that God Requires Insanity song is real dark and heavy, yet it's got moments that make you think of like Styx vocals. And it's like, what is going on with this band?
It's like Styx, early Uriah Heep, right? The multi-part vocal harmonies, really well done. I love Flight of the Halibut, which is just great. You got this creepy mellotron, the organ, and this really intricate bass lines. The bass player is amazing. And then you got like TV3, which it's quirky and kind of use of counterpoint like Gentle Giant. I'm like, what is going on here, right? So all sorts of stuff happening here. And the 10-minute title track is awesome. just dripping with Hammond organ and mellotron and dark atmosphere and great bass playing. This is a really good album. A really good album, as all this catalog is.
Yeah.
But something's got to go at number 5. So that's
I think that's the album that the bass player really shines, Eric Paulson. That's kind of the album that his contribution to the band
like he's
is
coming out
really
party,
up front and center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, really good album.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
it really is, but yeah, I got it a little bit higher in my ranking.
that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you know how that goes. But you know, that's the fun of a band like this is you get so many great albums, and there's not a whole lot separating these. I don't think they've got that masterpiece yet.
Yes.
I feel like they've got it in them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So what that means is I think there's going to be a lot of room for maneuvering in their discography. To wit, man, this hurts to put a record this good at number 4, man. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I've got a strange frame of mind at number 4. And this album is so good, man. I mean, every single track on this record. This is the one this is their second album, right? So this is where they really, really figured it out. It's the first one with Stig Jorgensen and Eric Paulson. They got the lineup figured out, and it just explodes with ideas, great songwriting, amazing riffs. I mean, riffs that a lot of bands would absolutely kill for. The Flying Norseman, TV, everybody's on TV except Frank Zappa and me. Come on, there's so many name drops on these records, which is a lot of fun, right? Are they going to talk about Bowie, or is that song going to sound like Led Zeppelin, or are they referencing Eloy here? And lyrically, they bring all that stuff into their music, so it's a lot of fun. I've read some commentators maybe say that lyrics are one of their weaknesses. I kind of disagree. I think there's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of playfulness and a lot of joy. Yeah, English is not their first language. So I cut them a little bit of slack in that regard. I don't have a problem with their lyrics at all. Look at this Gatefold artwork. I mean, just beautiful.
Look at that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Again, the same artist.
All these album covers are not safe for work, right? I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the difference between my number 1 and my number 4 is absolutely minuscule. This is a great place to start, because this is really where the modern Arabs and Aspic sound really starts, is on this record, and it's just amazing. I love every track on it. There's 2 songs in Norwegian on here and on the next one, but that's cool. I like that ratio. I don't have a problem with that. You know, it's a good homage to who they are and where they're from. So most of their stuff is in English. If anybody out there is worried about them being, all crazy Norwegian, they did have that one album in Norwegian, but they did re-release it in English. So, there's a lot of people that have a problem with foreign language bands. They're wrong. They're dead wrong, but I get it, because I was the exact same way, man. The only PFM albums I used to own were the ones in English, so I get it.
And I'll bet you never listen to those now, right?
Yeah, I know. Nope.
There's no need to.
Nope.
There's no need to.
Nope. So that's my number 4.
All right.
And man, oh man, I give it like 9 to 9.5 out of 10. It's that good.
Yeah, I mean, all these albums are really. I don't think I would rate any of these. I usually do scale of 5, right? I don't think any of these are less than a 4 out of 5.
Nope.
To me.
Nope.
They're all really, really great.
I think 8
What's interesting is that we both kind of agreed that they don't have their masterpiece yet, but yet we rate these almost at a masterpiece level.
Yeah, I'm holding that 10.
Yeah,
I'm holding that. They've been that good. They've been this close.
All right, my number 4, again, something's got to come at number 4. This is a great album. I'm going to go with Madness and Magic from 2020, their 5th full length. So here you got a little bit longer songs. This is kind of like a concept album. It's all about like,
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't know it by the cover artwork, but it's kind of like a concept album of like technology and the role it's playing in our lives, and specifically with the younger generation, right? That sort of thing. So you got a song like "I Wow to Thee, My Screen," which is all about computers and cell phones, right? And how important they are in our lives. But man, that's like glorious early 70s Pink Floyd.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Cool little guitar arpeggios kicking off the song, that spacey Moog, the dreamy vocals, then the Hammond kicks in, the synth at the end. Great opener. Really,
Yeah.
really great
Yeah.
opener.
Yeah. Totally off of Wish You Were Here.
Oh,
Era
yeah.
Pink
It's just
Floyd. Just so good.
it's on all that stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Lullaby for Modern Kids, part one and two, two-part epic, over 10 minutes long, big, bombastic, complex prog, killer Hammond, tasty guitar solos, Mellotron. You got High Tech Parents, which is
Mm.
also really good, but kind of quirky. You got the pastoral title track, and then the big 17-minute long epic, which closes out the
I
album.
love it. Heaven in Your Heart. Mm.
Ah, so good.
Yeah.
It's got heavy
Great epic.
sections. It's got more kind of spacey sections. Takes a listen on a journey, and the Hammond organ is just glorious on it. And great Moog tones on the whole album. That's what I love about this band. They give you just as much Hammond organ as you get like the Moog and the Mellotron and the big heavy riffs. And
Yeah.
it's doomy, and it's a great album. It pains me I
Real
put
good.
it number four.
Real good. Yeah.
Truly
It's
great album.
incredible. I mean, what an amazing. That album number four for any band, and we're talking big bands here too.
Yeah.
An album that good at number four is ridiculous. But number three, another one that's really going to break my heart here, Pete Pardo. This is the follow-up to my number four, which was a Strange Frame of Mind. This is Pictures in a Dream.
Yes.
And again, it kind of follows stylistically very similar to its predecessor. I just think the songs are just a tad bit better on this. The production's just a little bit better. There's a little more Mellotron, a little less Hammond maybe on this one. But man, how many bands would want to riff like Let Us Pray?
Oh, yeah. It's like early Jethro Tull, circa like Benefit and Stand Up. That's
Yeah.
what it reminds me of.
Amazing artwork again. And I'm telling you, every song on here is great. They follow a tradition of having two songs in Norwegian on this one. The last song on the album, they've got a guest vocalist, which is really, really cool. You've got Rune Sundby from Rufus, an old 70s Norwegian prog band. So this band knows their history. And they like to share that in their songs. They're not afraid to bring up ghosts of the past in their music. Are You Blind? What a great song. Difference in Time. Again, these songs, some of them travel a little closer to Zeppelin territory on this record than maybe some of their others, but I don't care, man. Lifeguard at Shark Bay, so good. Yeah, Pictures in a Dream, number three, breaks my heart that it's this low. And again, I just got to show this gatefold again. Look at that.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite from the catalog. Yeah, that's
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the better album covers of the 21st century, I think.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Really great.
And it's only at number three.
And it's my number three as well.
Emo Sabi.
Man, that opening kind of title track is just all lush and dreamy, and the synths are awesome, and the Mellotron and the vocals that just kind of float over the top, just so good. You mentioned Let Us Pray. Holy cow, that's killer. That's so killer. Lifeguard at Sharkback to me is like Deep Purple meets Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. You Are Blind, big riffs, big Hammond organ. Felix has got electric piano, and then David Gilmour solo, like kind of solo with David Gilmour inspired solo is what I wanted to say, which is really cool. And then you got that the Norwegian song. I'm going to butcher this.
Try.
I didn't
go for it.
Which sounds like classic Machine Head era Deep Purple. Just so good.
We've gone a few minutes into this, and neither one of us has mentioned the name Jostein Smeby or Smeby.
Smebby Steve.
He's the mastermind of this. He's the main singer, although Eric and Stieg also sing that beautiful three-part harmony. But man, Jostein Smebby, however it's pronounced in Norwegian, I love his vocals. He doesn't really sound like anybody contemporary. The whole time we're getting this video together, I'm thinking, who does this guy's vocals remind me of? And I'm going through a catalog of every singer I've ever heard in my life, and I can't think of the guy. He's really unique and really good.
Yeah, I don't really get any, because yeah, that's what we do. Just so folks know, we always try to give a comparison so people have a reference point. I
Exactly.
don't get anything with this guy either. He's got a very unique vocal style. I think we've mentioned other bands when we talk about how they layer the vocal harmonies, right? We mentioned Uriah Heep and we mentioned Styx, but his vocal style, his timbre, his delivery, it's very unique, very different.
Yeah, it is.
Very good.
And I
He's
can't
a guitar
place
player
it.
too, by the way, and a great
And
guitar player. Yeah.
good songwriter. He writes most of this stuff. Great singer, great guitar player. Yeah, and he's fronting a really great band. So
Yeah.
things are good in Arabs and Aspic land.
They are. And man, this keyboard player, Stig Arve Jorgensen, he's killing. Absolutely. The whole band is really, really talented. So yeah, but this is a great album.
They are. And they underplay it. If you're looking for that capital P prog where you've got, these long sections of pyrotechnic stuff going on, they don't really do that. Although many of their songs have sections that are super duper proggy, they kind of keep it within the structure of the song for the most part. Yeah, they've had a couple of long epics, but for the most part, they are a song-based band. They care about melody, they care about hooks, and that's where that that Uriah Heep thing. I keep hearing that '70s Heep, and I don't hate that at all, Pete Pardo.
No, well, Heap were exactly that, right? Heap were never about doing these long extended solos and stuff. They were everything was for the song, and they were more of like kind of like a riff based band, and very strong here. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of synth solos and Hammond solos and guitar solos, but it's not like you said, it's not overbearing, and they don't step way outside the zone. That's just not what they're about. So
it's about the song, and my number two,
the top two.
My number two, I got the latest. It's Madness and Magic from 2020. You talked about it. Again, wow. That artwork is just stellar. It's so amazing. It is kind of a concept album. You do get some cross-fading to help give you that whole feel of it being, one piece. And technology is obviously the target here, but these songs are so good. What a beautiful marriage of Black Sabbath and Pink Floyd with the Little King Crimson thrown in. And then you got the Uriah Heep side of things. And then you've got the epic. It's, 17 minutes long. But I really like it. I really like when an epic takes its time to think about its overarching structure. I think they knew they kind of didn't stick the landing on their previous album that had a long form song. And I think they righted it on this one. It's amazing. And yeah. This is Madness and Magic from 2020. And I got it at number 2. There's more nudity on there, Pete Pardo. I see a theme.
Nudity, yeah.
I see a theme with her artwork, but she is, wow, such a talent. And I like it when a band stays true to an artist, right? As a little kid, I always identified, yes, with Roger Dean, and I think that's cool when bands do that today also.
Yeah, I like consistency across a catalog with logos, with artwork.
Yeah.
That's it's just me. Whether you're working with Roger Dean or Rodney Matthews or Hypnosis or whatever, it's always good to see that consistency. All right, my number 2, this kind of surprised me. Although I really like this. I think I like this a little bit more than you do, and I totally get your points. And man, I'm looking at the artwork too. It's just crazy. This is probably the craziest out of all. But I'm going to go with The Magic of Sin.
Yeah.
There it is right there. Yeah, there's all sorts of weirdness going on down here. Yeah, just 3 long tracks. the opening title track is for me a really killer kind of slow builder of the song. You got the organ and mellotron giving way to these big drums and big heavy doom riffs. Yeah, there's some seriously bizarre shit happening here with
It does it not make you think a little bit of Starless? How that first track opens up
the
with
way
the mellotron,
yeah.
and then they got the new guy playing the wood blocks for all the world, like Bruford. It's yeah, this is their stab at Crimson, and it's awesome. A totally different direction for the
Totally
band.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hammond's great. The big, love the big riffs and then the wah wah guitar solos. I'm a sucker for Crybaby Wah Wah, man, or whatever they're using, Vox, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
To me, that's like the best song on the album. I really like it a lot.
I
12
think so.
long.
Yeah.
You know, then you got Down in Darkness Part 1 and 2, which is takes up the next 30 minutes. I'm getting all sorts of cool little references here. Obviously, classic Pink Floyd. I hear a little early Eloy, Deep Purple,
Oh yeah.
Sabbath. You know, he's doing some kind of cool, almost like Ian Gillan screams from time to time, which I think is pretty cool, right? Because how many people try to do that these days?
Yeah.
But I will, and some of the screams he's doing remind me of what Gillan did on the Jesus Christ Superstar album, which I think is pretty neat. Nobody ever talks about that.
I think that's really interesting because on the previous album, he was trying his hand at a bunch of Robert Plant style
Yeah,
screams.
yeah. So he
And then
obviously
on
could
this
do
album,
that.
yeah, who can do both Plant-esque stuff and Gillan-esque stuff? That's a talented vocalist right there.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's funny because we just talked about how he doesn't really sound like anybody else, but
Mhm.
at times he drops these little hints.
Yeah.
But overall,
Yeah.
his vocals are very unique. But yeah, I would say that the Down in Darkness big extended thing, it meanders a little in spots, but there's lots of good playing on here. You got Mellotron and Moog and Hammond and all the glorious stuff on there. I like it a lot. I think it's really good. It's a nice kind of little break into something different in their catalog. So yeah, I got
Yeah.
it pretty high up at number 2 for me.
You do. And I think I had it fifth, and I would give it a 9.
Well, that's the thing,
You
right?
know? But to me, you would think that would be, my number one, just judging by track lengths and stuff like that. But I think you had this at number 5, and it's my number 1, Pete Pardo. That shows you how just consistent this band is. Not that we're really disagreeing at all about, any of the merits of these bands. Just I'm going with Victim of Your Father's Agony. Yeah, the artwork's a little different this time around, a little more colorful, a little more psychedelic maybe, but I really enjoy the proggy nature of this album. It takes the formula of the 2 that came before it and gets rid of the Norwegian songs. So I think that was a plus for somebody. Look at this color variant, Pete.
Wow, what do you call that? Like
I have no idea. I
forest
call that
green,
awesome.
puke green. It looks like Linda
Yeah,
Blair, Exorcist green.
Yeah, it's it's a record for me that is their most balanced. It's also their shortest album. It's only like 37 minutes long. So if I have one, why I think it needs one more song, and it could have for me been that record, right? But You Can Prove Them Wrong is probably my favorite lead-off track in their catalog. Sad Without You is just fantastic. You mentioned One, I think is a beautiful, perfect track. The Turk in the Italian Restaurant is pure prog. God Requires Insanity, longest song on the album. It starts out sounding all bouncy with great vocal harmonies and stuff, and it gets all edgy and whatnot and dark, and then it gets real, real proggy, and then it's got more of these amazing vocals on it. TV3. I love every song on this album. To me, it's their best, but it's splitting hairs for me. The top 4 or 5.
It is.
Just fantastic. I really, really enjoy how this band, like we talked about the singer, we can do little reference points, but we can't really decide who he sings like. The same can be said for the band as a whole. That, you can pick out moments that sound exactly like Zeppelin, or sound exactly like Floyd, or sound exactly like Heap, or sound exactly like Purple. But you're not going to find, a whole song that sounds anything like any of those bands. They don't sound like any of those bands really, because they can take those reference points and make them their own. Same with their lyrical content, where they drop all these little Easter eggs, that you can explore, and like, what's he mean by that? Oh, I think I know what he's doing there. It's just a lot of fun for a prog fan to sit back and listen to a discography this solid and consistent. Um, yeah, Arabs and Aspic. What a cool, great band. And there is something going on in Norway, Pete.
There is, and you hit the nail on the head. You could have like one 10-minute track, and you'll hear this little Moog piece, and you'll be like, oh, that kind of reminds me of that. And you'll hear this little riff passage, and you'll be like, oh, that's kind of Tony Iommi there. And then you'll hear
Yeah.
this mellotron, you'll think, oh, that's PFM, right? But they do all of these things within the confines of every single song, which I think is really cool. Any of these could be my number one, right?
Yep.
Today, again, we could do this next week, and I might even change up the order. But today, I'm going to go with Strange Frame of Mind, their second album. To me, it all came together perfectly on this, right?
It did.
Let's add Mr. Jorgensen on keyboards, and then boom, we have the Arabs and Aspic sound right there. I mean, he's all sorts of Hammond and Mellotron and synths and other keyboards. Aspic Temple is terrific.
Yeah.
His roaring Hammond organ is just amazing on this song. Just amazing. Dive Into My Eyes, dreamy plot, prog. I hear a little bit of old Nectar, like maybe from Tab in the Ocean, right? Or Remember the Future, that sort of thing. Little early Eloy, little early Pink Floyd. Morkit. Is that how you say that? Morkit?
I think Morkit, yeah.
The hell is a Morkit? I don't know, whatever.
I don't know, but Down in Darkness parts 2 and 3 were on the Norwegian were Morkit 2 and Morkit 3. So I think that's like part 1 of Down in Darkness.
Gotcha. That makes sense. It's great on here. I mean, big barnstorming riffs,
So good.
Sabbath meets Heap meets Purple, really good. Fall Till Markin, another big brooding kind of.
Love that track.
Oh, so good. And the creepy Mellotron. I love the way they use the Mellotron. It's just really, really good. Strange Frame of Mind, soaked in Mellotron. What else is on here though? I mean, have you ever seen The Rain Part 2? High energy, Deep Purple rocker. So good, big bluesy.
And I love how that references Stairway to Heaven in that song. Just lyrical in the way they're phrasing it. It's just such a great album. I had that at my number 4, but yesterday I think I had it at number 1. It was the one that kind of got me introduced to Arabs and Aspic. And you know how that is. Sometimes that first record you hear by them. So I'm with you on that. The long track that ends it is Arabide. I love that track.
Oh,
and
that's really good. Really
the reissue's got a bonus track on that album. They do a version of Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Which
it's cool. To me, a band this good, I'd rather just hear more original material.
Yeah, exactly. Give me more of what you guys do. Exactly. But that's 6 albums, and I can't really say a whole lot bad about any of those 6. And I'll throw that first EP in. It's just a phenomenal piece of work. What a cool band. Thank you for having me on, talking about a band that I've been a fan of for about like 10 or 11 years, I guess. So very cool to sit here and see Tranquility and talk to you about Arabs and Aspic and Norwegian prog
in general.
In general has kind of been a big part of my channel. It's weird. I get a lot of views from Norway, so that's
there'll probably be more to come, right?
So
there's more band that I think kind of like crept onto the scene kind of quietly, but I feel like they're starting to make headway, and I don't know whether that's just because they're that good. They are, but I think Norway in general is just starting to get so much more attention that all of a sudden everybody's finding out about all these bands. And for folks watching this channel, we have a ton of fans here who love bands like Sabbath and Heap and Purple and King Crimson and Eloy and everybody else we mentioned today, Pink Floyd. So if you've never heard this band before and you're going to drop everything you're doing and investigate one band's catalog, out of all the ranking shows we've done in recent weeks, this is the band for you.
There you go.
This is the band right here.
I think so. And, it's just exciting. And I think, part of the reason why they've kind of crept up. Was before the fifth album, they were on Black Widow or
They
some
were, yeah.
small label, and then Apollon picked them up for one record, and then it was really only until Madness and Magic when Charisma finally got their claws into them. That they got the kind of support that I think was due them. I don't, those smaller labels, they have limited resources to promote a band and push a band, and they're where they're supposed to be now. They're at the mighty Charisma, one of the greatest little record labels in the world right now, just cranking out so much great
Yeah.
material. Yeah, just really exciting. And Arabs and Aspic, the future is bright. Absolutely. We want the next album, and we want it soon. We do.
Yes. So guys, if you're watching, let's get
They're
that
watching.
next one before you know it. Let's get it.
They're watching, Charlie.
2024 has just begun. You got plenty of time. So we'll see what happens. So I want to thank Scott for joining me here today on this fun episode, talking about a really cool band. Scott, you want to plug any upcoming shows?
Yeah, I do. I got to plug stuff. I've been on your show a couple times, Pete Pardo, and I don't think I've mentioned that. Like you, I don't play music on my channel, so I get people all the time saying, Scott, where can I hear all the music that you're talking about on your channel? Well, fear not, because Prog Radio now has the Prog Corner playlist every Friday at noon, where I put together a selection of songs from albums and other things that I've been talking about all week on the channel, but have been just too scared to put any kind of music whatsoever on the channel for fear of copyright strikes. So that's every Friday at noon on Prog Radio. We do the live stream every Sunday at 1. So, this past weekend we did the best epics. We've got the next 3 upcoming weeks going to be so epic, Pete Pardo. Next weekend is going to be Iron Maiden. We're going to be ranking our 10 favorite Iron Maiden tracks. Then we're doing Emerson, Lake and Palmer the week after that, XTC. So the Sunday prog stream, always a lot of fun. And next week on the channel, oh yeah, it's going to be big. And I know you and the professor were talking about new releases. This thing came out in 1973, boys and girls, one of the greatest Italian prog albums of all time. We waited 51 years. The wait is over. The new Semiramis, I'm going to be reviewing this thing. It's amazing. This album's good. This album's really, really, really good. And I'll also be ranking the albums of Big Big Train in honor of their 15th album, The Likes of Us. What an amazing band. What a great discography. So I'm going to be ranking all the Big Big Train albums. I might even throw in an EP or whatnot and make it an even 16. But yeah, so like usual, Pete, I got my hands full over at the Prog Corner, always doing something. And but we can always make time to be with you here at the Sea of Tranquility. So thanks for letting me sit down and talk about the great Arabs and Aspic. What a band. What a band.
Always happy to have you, Scott. And so go check out the Prog Corner when you get a chance. Go over there and give them a subscriber.
Yes.
Click that subscribe.
Thank you for. I never say. I am so bad about that. I never ask for subs. I never ask people to hit the like button. Any of that stuff. I probably should. I'm so bad at this stuff.
People forget, So that's cool. You're doing a Big Big Train ranking. Yeah, I've got that on my to-do list this year. I wanted to do it last year, but every time, some of these bands that are still active, you want to do a ranking, and then they announce they're going to have a new album. So you're like, all right, well, let me wait for the new album. And then the new album comes out. You take a little while to digest it, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do another rank. I'm going to rank the catalog. And then they announce, oh, we have another album coming out. So it's just it's always hard to do it when you have these active bands. But
this feels like the time, though.
Do it. Yeah, I think so, because now you got the new album with the new vocalist.
Exactly. Hey, strike while the iron's hot, because I'm telling you, the new Big Big Train album is absolutely incredible. I'm really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's really good. So cool. Anyway. Thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, down below, get the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page. Thank you in advance for all your support there. See, Scott, I just got it down pat. I say it every day, and I have been for years. Man. It's like We got Jamie Lazarus doing the review. He's hosting our new review crew show.
Yeah.
He's still trying to figure out how to go through all that. I'm like, it takes a little while. It takes you can't just pull all that shit off. Just
Yeah, but Jamie's the kind of guy, once he gets something, he's gonna be dangerous.
Yeah, I know, right? So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week here on Ranking the Albums for Scot Lade. I'm Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you Tuesday on In the Prog Seat, all about Gentle Giant. Till then, have a good one. Bye-bye.